Emily sat by the window watching the sky turn darker and darker. The clouds were thick and gray, moving fast like they were chasing each other. Outside, the wind was beginning to blow, making the trees sway and the leaves rustle loudly. The weather forecast had warned about a big storm coming to her small town that evening, but Emily hadn't thought much of it at first. She was more focused on the little life growing inside her. Any day now, she knew her baby would be born. Emily was tired but excited. She had spent the past 9 months preparing for this moment. She had painted the baby's room a soft yellow, bought tiny clothes folded neatly in the drawers, and filled the house with hope. Her husband Michael was supposed to be home soon, but his work had kept him away on a trip. Emily missed him a lot, but she was strong and ready to take care of things on her own if needed. As the storm clouds gathered, Emily started feeling something different. A strange tightening in her belly, a rhythm she had been waiting for but wasn't sure was happening yet. She sat up, feeling the first gentle waves of contractions. They were slow and spaced apart, but they felt real. The baby was ready. Her heart beat faster with a mix of joy and nervousness. This was the moment she had waited for. She picked up her phone to call Michael. The screen showed no signal. The storm was already blocking phone towers, making it hard to connect. Emily tried again, but still no luck. She hoped he was safe and would call back soon. For now, she needed to get to the hospital. The nearest one was about 20 minutes away, and with the storm coming, she didn't want to wait too long. Emily gathered her things carefully. She packed the hospital bag she had prepared weeks ago, including soft blankets, baby clothes, and her favorite book. She checked the weather outside one more time. The wind was stronger now, and the sky was almost black. Lightning flashed in, the distance followed by low rumbles of thunder. It was going to be a rough night. She took a deep breath, put on her coat, and locked the door behind her. The rain started just as she reached her car. The first drops were light, but soon the rain came down in heavy sheets. The roads quickly became slippery, and the wind howled louder. Emily gripped the steering wheel tightly, focusing on the road ahead. Her contractions came closer together now, making her breathe faster. About 10 minutes into the drive, her car began to sputter. A strange noise came from the engine, and then the car slowed down. Emily pulled over to the side, trying to restart it. The rain soaked her through, and the wind made it hard to hear. The car wouldn't start again. She felt panic rising inside her chest. Alone on a dark, rainy road with the baby on the way, it was a scary thought. She looked around but saw nothing except trees bending in the storm and water pooling on the pavement. Her phone battery was low, and the signal was still gone. She couldn't call anyone for help. The nearest house was too far to walk to, and the rain was too heavy. Emily wrapped her arms around herself, shivering from the cold and fear. The contractions were coming faster now, stronger and sharper. But Emily was not one to give up easily. She remembered the breathing exercises from her prenatal classes and tried to focus on slow, steady breaths. She closed her eyes and thought about the baby, imagining the soft face she would see soon. This helped calm her mind a little. She knew she had to keep moving and find shelter. Just then, headlights appeared on the road behind her. A car slowed down and pulled over nearby. A woman stepped out into the storm. Her clothes were wet, but her face was calm and kind. Emily couldn't believe her eyes. It felt like an answer to a silent prayer. The woman walked quickly over to her. "Are you okay?" the woman asked gently. "Do you need help?" Emily nodded, feeling tears mix with the rain on her cheeks. "I'm in labor," she said. "My car broke down and I can't call anyone." The woman smiled warmly. "Don't worry, I'm Jasmine. I'm a nurse, and I live nearby. Let's get you somewhere safe." Jasmine opened her car door and helped Emily inside. The warm air from the heater was a relief. As they drove slowly toward Jasmine's house, Emily's contractions grew more intense, but Jasmine kept talking calmly, distracting her and helping her breathe through each wave. At Jasmine's house, Emily found a clean, dry place to rest. Jasmine brought warm blankets and a cup of tea. She called the hospital using a landline and explained the situation. The storm had blocked many roads, and emergency services were struggling to reach some areas. The hospital said they would send help as soon as they could. For now, Emily was safe. She wasn't alone anymore. She had a stranger who had become her lifeline in the middle of a terrible storm. As the rain hammered on the roof, Emily looked at Jasmine and felt a deep gratitude she couldn't put into words. The night was still long and uncertain, but with Jasmine by her side, Emily felt hope. She was ready to welcome her baby into the world no matter what the storm outside brought. The storm outside continued to rage with full power. Rain pounded on the roof and windows, and the wind howled like a wild animal in the night. Thunder rolled across the sky, making the whole house shake just a little. Inside, Emily sat on the couch wrapped in a soft blanket, her breathing steady but heavy. The contractions were stronger now, closer together, and sometimes took her breath away. She could feel the baby moving, pushing to be born. Jasmine sat close by, watching Emily carefully. Her face was calm, but full of concern. She had helped many women before, but never in such difficult conditions. The storm had made everything harder. Roads flooded, power flickering, and phone lines unreliable. The hospital had promised to send help as soon as possible, but with the weather like this, no one knew when it would arrive. Emily felt grateful to be inside the warm house. She thought about how close she had come to being alone on that dark, stormy road. She remembered how scared she had been when the car stopped working, and how lucky it was that Jasmine had found her. Even though they had just met, Emily felt like she could trust her completely. Jasmine smiled gently and said, "You're doing great, Emily. Just keep breathing like that. I'm here with you." Emily nodded. She focused on Jasmine's voice, steady and kind, which helped her feel less afraid. The room was quiet except for the sound of rain outside and Emily's soft breathing. Jasmine sat down on a small chair and took Emily's hand in hers. It was a small gesture, but it made Emily feel supported. After a while, Emily looked around the house. It was simple but cozy. The walls were decorated with pictures of family and friends, and there were plants on the windowsill. Jasmine moved easily around the room, gathering things she thought they might need. Clean towels, warm blankets, and a flashlight in case the power went out completely. The lights flickered a few times, but held steady. Jasmine checked the clock on the wall. "Help should be here soon," she said, though her voice showed she was not entirely sure. The storm was still strong, and the roads were dangerous. Emily squeezed Jasmine's hand. "Thank you for finding me. I don't know what I would have done alone out there." Jasmine smiled softly. "You're not alone anymore. I'll stay with you until the baby comes. We're going to be okay." The hours passed slowly. Emily's contractions grew closer together and more painful. She tried to rest when she could, but it was hard. Each wave made her breathe hard and focus. Jasmine stayed close, offering water, rubbing Emily's back gently and speaking in calm, encouraging words. Emily felt tired but also strong. She thought about the baby inside her and how soon she would hold her in her arms. The storm outside was still wild, but inside the little house a sense of hope grew. At one point, Emily asked, "How did you know to look for me? How did you find me in the storm?" Jasmine paused and looked out the window at the rain pouring down. "I'm part of a group in the neighborhood. We check on each other when bad weather comes. When I heard on the radio that someone was stuck and needed help, I just couldn't stay inside. I had to go out." Emily admired her bravery. Jasmine was not just a nurse but a friend to the whole community. She had risked her own safety to help a stranger. Emily felt a warm feeling inside her heart. "Your kindness means more than I can say," Emily whispered. Jasmine smiled again and said, "That's what neighbors do." As the night deepened, Emily's labor became more intense. She could feel the baby moving lower, getting ready to be born. The pain was strong, but Jasmine was right there, guiding her, helping her breathe through each contraction. At one point, the power went out completely. The house was dark except for the flashes of lightning outside. Jasmine quickly lit a few candles and placed them safely around the room. Their soft light flickered on the walls, creating a quiet, peaceful atmosphere. Emily held onto Jasmine's hand tightly. The candlelight made the room feel safe, even as the storm continued to howl. Jasmine's calm presence was a steady anchor in the wild night. Hours passed and Emily's body worked hard. She was exhausted but determined. Every so often, Jasmine would check her carefully, making sure everything was going as it should. She encouraged Emily with soft words, reminding her how strong she was. "Almost there," Jasmine said gently. "You're doing amazing." Emily smiled weakly through the pain. She thought about the baby's tiny hands and feet, the first moments they would share. That thought kept her going. Suddenly, Emily felt a new, stronger wave. She knew the baby was coming soon. Jasmine helped her sit up and prepared the area with clean towels and warm blankets. They were ready. Even though the storm outside showed no sign of stopping, inside that little room a miracle was about to happen. Emily felt a mix of fear and excitement. The baby was almost here. As she breathed deeply, she thought about how this night had started, alone and scared in the rain and now surrounded by warmth and care. She knew she would never forget Jasmine's kindness. Jasmine stayed calm and focused, her experience shining through. She guided Emily gently, helping her through the final moments of labor. Together, they faced the storm, inside and out. And, just when the sky seemed darkest, a new light was born. A tiny cry, soft but strong, filling the room with hope and joy. Emily's heart swelled with love as she held her baby for the first time. The storm outside had brought fear and uncertainty, but inside, a beautiful new life had arrived. And it was all because a stranger had become her guardian angel on a night when everything seemed lost. The storm still raged outside, but something had changed inside the small candlelit room. A tiny cry filled the air. Soft at first, then growing louder, stronger. Emily could hardly believe it. The baby was here. Her baby. Warm tears rolled down her cheeks as she looked at the tiny little girl in her arms. Her skin was soft and pink, her fingers curled into tiny fists, and her face, so perfect, so peaceful, even in the middle of chaos. Jasmine smiled as she carefully wrapped the newborn in a clean, warm towel. Her hands moved gently, skillfully, like someone who had done this many times before, but still treated each moment like something special. She placed the baby back into Emily's arms and said softly, "You did it, Mama. She's here." Emily looked down at her daughter, still overwhelmed by everything that had happened. Just hours ago, she had been alone in a broken car, unsure if she'd even make it to the hospital. Now here she was in a stranger's house holding her newborn safe and sound. It all felt like a dream, one she never expected but would never forget. The baby snuggled into her mother's chest, her tiny face resting near Emily's heart. The storm's wind shook the windows, but inside the room, there was a deep sense of peace. Jasmine quietly cleaned up around them, working in the soft candlelight, trying not to disturb the quiet moment between mother and child. After a while, Jasmine brought Emily a warm cup of tea and a gentle smile. "You're both doing so well," she said, sitting down beside her. "She's healthy, strong too, that cry? That was the cry of a little fighter." Emily laughed softly, still a little shaky. "She must get that from you," she said, looking gratefully at Jasmine. "I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't come. You were like an angel in the storm." Jasmine's smile grew wider, but she waved off the praise with a gentle shake of her head. "I was just in the right place at the right time. Anyone would have done the same." Emily wasn't so sure about that. In a world where people were often too busy or afraid to get involved, Jasmine had stepped out into a dangerous storm for someone she didn't even know. She had risked her own safety just to help. That wasn't something everyone would do. That took real courage. That took heart. As the hours passed, the storm outside began to lose strength. The heavy rain slowed to a steady drizzle, and the thunder became more distant. A soft gray light began to push through the clouds. Dawn was approaching. Emily, now resting with the baby asleep on her chest, felt her eyelids grow heavy. She was exhausted in every way, physically, emotionally, but at peace. Jasmine sat nearby, watching over both of them, making sure everything stayed calm and safe. Eventually, there was a soft knock at the door. Jasmine stood up quickly and opened it, to find two paramedics standing in the rain, their jackets soaked but their faces kind. "We're here for the mother and baby," one of them said. Jasmine waved them inside. "They're safe. The baby was born a few hours ago. Come in and take a look." The paramedics checked on Emily and the newborn, asking questions and doing gentle examinations. They were amazed at how well everything had gone, especially under such difficult conditions. One of them looked at Jasmine with deep respect. "You saved their lives," he said quietly. Jasmine just gave a small smile and shrugged. "She did all the work. I just helped." Emily looked up from the couch, her voice soft. "She did more than help. She gave me hope when I thought I was completely alone." The paramedics offered to take Emily and the baby to the hospital now that the worst of the storm had passed. Emily agreed, but she hesitated as she looked at Jasmine. "Can you come with me?" she asked. "Please?" Jasmine nodded without hesitation. "Of course." They carefully loaded Emily and her daughter into the ambulance. As they drove through the quiet, rainy morning, Emily held her baby close and thought about what had just happened. In one of the scariest moments of her life, a stranger had come to her rescue, not with loud words or big promises, but with steady hands and a calm voice. At the hospital, nurses took Emily to a clean room while doctors did a few more checks. The baby was healthy and strong, and Emily was recovering well. Everything had turned out better than she had hoped. Still, she couldn't stop thinking about Jasmine and how everything could have been so different without her. Later that morning, a nurse entered the room with a small note in her hand. "The woman who brought you in left this for you," she said kindly. Emily opened the note and smiled as she read Jasmine's handwriting. "You were never alone. You're stronger than you know. Wishing you and your little angel a life full of love." Tears filled Emily's eyes again, but this time they were happy tears. She looked at her baby girl, still sleeping peacefully, and whispered, "That's what I'll call you. Angel." It felt perfect. Her daughter had been born in the middle of a wild storm, but with the help of someone brave and kind, she had come into the world safely. The name Angel reminded Emily not just of the stormy night, but of the light that had guided her through it. Days passed. Emily recovered quickly, and Angel grew stronger with each passing day. Family and friends came to visit, bringing flowers, soft blankets, and warm smiles. Everyone wanted to hear the story of the storm and the woman who had helped bring Angel into the world. Emily told the story again and again, always with the same sense of wonder. She spoke of Jasmine's kindness, her bravery, and how she had shown up just when hope seemed lost. Some people called it fate. Others called it luck. But Emily always said it was something more. A moment of pure goodness in a world that sometimes felt too busy to stop and care. Angel became known in the hospital as the Storm Baby, and many nurses came by just to peek at her. She brought smiles wherever she went, her tiny presence lighting up even the busiest hallways. Emily never forgot the night her daughter was born. It wasn't the birth she had planned, but it was a night filled with courage, kindness, and something special that words couldn't quite explain. She would tell Angel about it one day, about the strong woman who helped her into the world, and how even in the middle of the darkest storm, a stranger became their light. And from that day forward, Emily carried that lesson with her always. Sometimes the people who change our lives forever are the ones we least expect, people who appear in our worst moments and remind us of the goodness that still exists in the world. It had been a few weeks since that stormy night when baby Angel was born. The memory was still fresh in Emily's mind. Every moment, every sound, every feeling. The rain, the broken car, the fear, and then, like a miracle, the warm face of Jasmine offering help. It all felt like a beautiful dream, one that had turned a night of fear into a story of kindness, strength, and hope. Back home now, Emily had settled into a new routine with her baby. Her days were filled with soft lullabies, warm bottles, quiet naps, and the sweet smell of baby lotion. Angel was healthy, with bright eyes and a curious look on her face like she already knew the world had special plans for her. Michael, her husband, had finally returned from his trip. The storm had delayed him for several days, and he had rushed, back as soon as he could. When he saw Emily and held their daughter for the first time, his eyes filled with tears. He had missed so much, but he was thankful beyond words that both mother and baby were safe. He listened quietly as Emily told him everything: the storm, the car breaking down, the fear, and most of all, Jasmine's arrival. She told the story, slowly, carefully, not wanting to leave out a single detail. Michael was in awe. "She sounds like an angel herself," he said softly. "I wish I could thank her." "I do too," Emily replied. "But she left so quietly. She didn't even wait for a goodbye. She just gave me a note and disappeared." Michael held the note in his hands, reading Jasmine's words again. "You were never alone. You're stronger than you know. Wishing you and your little angel a life full of love." It was short, but full of feeling. "She didn't even write her full name," Emily added. "Just J. That's all I know." Still, Emily couldn't stop thinking about her. She thought about her every time Angel cried, every time she remembered the storm, every time someone asked how the baby came into the world. Jasmine wasn't just part of the story. She was the reason the story had a happy ending. Emily decided to try and find her, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. She wanted to thank her properly, so she started asking around in the neighborhood. She visited the nearby community center and described Jasmine to the volunteers there. "She's a nurse," she explained. "A kind woman, about my age, very calm, very brave." Some people nodded and said they might know who she was. "You might be talking about Jasmine Carter," one woman said. "She helps at the shelter and sometimes visits seniors in the neighborhood. Very sweet woman." Another added, "She used to work at the clinic before it closed down last year. She helps people quietly, never wants attention." Emily smiled. That sounded just like the woman she had met that night. Quiet, helpful, and full of heart. After a few more questions and some phone calls, Emily finally got an address. It was just a few streets away from where Emily had broken down that night. Her heart beat faster as she wrote it down. She couldn't wait to see her again. The next day, with Michael by her side and Angel bundled warmly in a soft pink blanket, Emily walked to the house. The sky was clear this time, no sign of a storm, just a soft breeze and sunshine. The walk was peaceful, and Emily felt calm but excited. They reached the small house with the blue door and a wind chime that tinkled gently in the breeze. Emily knocked softly, her heart full of emotion. A few moments passed, and then the door opened. There she was, Jasmine, just as Emily remembered. Her face lit up with surprise and then with joy. "Emily," she said, stepping forward. "And this must be little Angel." Emily couldn't stop smiling. "I found you," she said. "I wanted to say thank you, properly." Jasmine welcomed them inside, and the room was just as Emily remembered, warm, peaceful, with soft colors and family photos on the wall. They sat down, and Jasmine gently held Angel in her arms. "She's grown so much," she said. "She's beautiful." Emily's eyes filled with happy tears. "Because of you. You helped us both when we needed it the most." Jasmine looked down at the baby and smiled. "You were strong. You did all the hard work. I was just there to lend a hand." Michael stepped forward and shook Jasmine's hand firmly. "I wasn't there that night," he said, "but I'll never forget what you did for my family. Thank you." They sat together for a long while, sharing stories and laughter. Emily brought cookies she had baked earlier, and Jasmine made tea. It felt like old friends catching up, even though they had only met once before. At one point, Emily asked, "Why did you help me that night? You didn't even know me." Jasmine looked thoughtful for a moment. I think when we see someone in need and we're able to help, we should. The world needs more kindness. That night, I just felt like I had to go. Something told me someone needed help. Emily nodded slowly. And you were right. You were exactly where you were meant to be. They talked for hours. Jasmine shared some of her own story, how she had been a nurse for many years, and how after the clinic closed, she continued helping people in the neighborhood. She said she didn't do it for praise. I just like being useful, she said with a smile. Before they left, Emily handed Jasmine a small photo album. On the cover, it said, "The night Angel was born." Inside were pictures of baby Angel, a handwritten version of the birth story, and a thank you letter from Emily and Michael. Jasmine looked through it slowly, touched by the gift. "This means so much," she whispered. "Thank you." As they stood at the door to leave, Emily looked at her and said, "I hope we stay in touch. I want Angel to grow up knowing the woman who helped bring her into the world." Jasmine nodded, her eyes warm. "I'd like that very much." They hugged gently, and then Emily and Michael walked back home feeling a deep sense of peace. Angel slept peacefully in her mother's arms, unaware of how special her story was. From that day forward, Jasmine became part of their lives, not just a kind stranger from a stormy night, but a friend, a guide, and someone who reminded them every day that kindness could change everything. And every time the wind blew or the sky darkened with clouds, Emily no longer felt fear. She remembered the light in Jasmine's eyes, the warmth in her voice, and the gentle way she had brought a little angel into the world. Months passed, and little Angel continued to grow stronger each day. Her small hands were now reaching out for everything around her, her eyes full of wonder and curiosity. Emily and Michael couldn't stop smiling at her tiny giggles, her first attempts to roll over, and the way she looked at them with pure trust. Their home had become quieter, calmer, and filled with new routines. Bottles, soft blankets, lullabies, and bedtime stories were now part of their daily life. And so was something else, something very special, their growing friendship with Jasmine. Since the day Emily had found Jasmine's house and thanked her, the two women had stayed in touch. They would talk on the phone, visit each other, and sometimes just go for slow walks around the park with Angel tucked in her stroller. Jasmine had become like family, always showing up with a warm smile, a helpful hand, or a kind word. Angel, even at such a young age, seemed to recognize Jasmine. Every time she heard Jasmine's voice or saw her face, her little legs would kick in excitement and her eyes would light up. It was a bond that no one had to explain. It just existed, deep and simple. One sunny afternoon, Emily invited Jasmine over for lunch. The table was set with care: soft sandwiches, a colorful fruit salad, and 2 glasses of iced tea. Angel sat nearby in her baby chair, happily playing with a stuffed bunny. "I've been thinking a lot lately," Emily said, pouring the tea. "That night you helped me. It changed everything. Not just because you helped us survive, but because you helped me see the world differently." Jasmine smiled gently. "How so?" Emily looked down for a moment, gathering her thoughts. "Before that night, I used to worry a lot. About the future, about not being strong enough. But you, without even knowing me, helped me believe in kindness again. And in myself." Jasmine looked touched by her words. "You were already strong, Emily. I just showed up. You did the rest." Emily nodded slowly. "Still, I want Angel to grow up learning from people like you. I want her to see what compassion looks like, what bravery looks like. Not in big, loud ways, but in quiet, real ways." Jasmine took a sip of her tea and then reached over to gently squeeze Emily's hand. "You're giving her that already. Every day." There was a quiet pause as they listened to Angel's soft babbling. The sunlight poured in through the windows, casting a warm glow over the room. Everything felt still, peaceful. Then Emily spoke again, this time with a bit of excitement in her voice. Michael and I have been thinking we'd like to ask you something special. Jasmine looked curious. What is it? Emily took a breath. We want you to be Angel's godmother. The words hung in the air, full of meaning and love. Jasmine blinked in surprise, clearly moved. Oh, wow. That's such an honor. You're already like family, Emily said. You were there from the very beginning. We want Angel to grow up knowing you'll always be in her life, guiding her, loving her, just like you've done for us. Jasmine's eyes grew misty as she smiled, clearly touched. I would be honored. Truly. The moment felt full and beautiful, like something had come full circle. From a night of storm and fear had come a bond so strong, so warm, it had become part of their future. Jasmine wasn't just a helper anymore. She was part of the family. In the weeks that followed, Jasmine visited even more often. She helped Emily with feedings, played peekaboo with Angel, and even started teaching Emily simple lullabies from her own childhood. There was laughter in the house and a calm rhythm that made each day feel special. Michael, too, grew closer to Jasmine. He appreciated her quiet strength, her wisdom, and the way she always seemed to know exactly what to say. You know, he said one evening while rocking Angel, some people leave a mark on your life in just one moment. Jasmine, she's one of those people. Emily nodded. She didn't just help us through a storm. She became part of our story. One day, as Angel turned 6 months old, the family decided to do something special. They planned a small gathering at the local community center. It wasn't a big party, just a few close friends, neighbors, and of course, Jasmine. They called it Angel's half-year celebration. Emily made a small cake and Michael decorated the hall with soft pink balloons and photos from the last 6 months. Pictures of Angel smiling, sleeping, and being held by her parents and Jasmine. There was even one framed photo of that note Jasmine had left behind at the hospital. When Jasmine arrived, everyone clapped and welcomed her warmly. She smiled, a little shy from the attention, but happy. As she held Angel and looked around the room, she saw something she hadn't expected. People who cared deeply, not just about the baby but about each other. It was a community full of love. Emily took the microphone and said a few words. 6 months ago, on a night none of us will ever forget, a storm changed our lives. But more than the storm, it was one woman who made all the difference. She didn't ask for thanks. She didn't wait for recognition. She just showed up when we needed her the most. Today we celebrate Angel, but we also celebrate Jasmine, the woman who helped bring her into the world. Everyone clapped. Jasmine stood there holding Angel, her heart full. She never expected that night would lead to something so lasting. But here she was, surrounded by love, by new family, and by the beautiful little girl she had helped welcome into the world. After the celebration, Jasmine and Emily sat together quietly on a bench outside, watching the sun begin to set. Do you ever think about that night? Emily asked. All the time, Jasmine replied. Not because it was scary, but because it reminded me that sometimes we're exactly where we need to be, even if we don't understand why at the time. Emily smiled. I think you were sent to us. Jasmine looked at her gently. And I think you've become stronger than you ever thought you could be. They sat in silence for a while, the kind of silence that didn't need filling. Angel dozed off in her stroller, the soft breeze brushing her cheeks, and as the sky turned golden and the trees rustled softly, everything felt exactly right. From a stormy night filled with fear had come a lifelong bond. From broken roads had come new paths. And from a quiet act of kindness had come a story that would be told again and again. A story not just about a birth, but about the strength of women, the power of compassion, and how sometimes the people who save us are the ones we never saw coming. Emily would always tell Angel, you came into this world during a storm, but you were born in the arms of an angel, and because of her, your life began in love. And that was the beginning of Angel's story.